Hey y'all, it's Krypton Critics, and I'm here to review Police Academy from 1984, uh, directed by Hugh Wilson. This movie, right off the bat, I kind of love this movie. It's amazingly, it has great focus on different characters and how they interact, and you know, bar none, this is one of the best comedies I've seen. Now, I've seen a lot. This is not the greatest, and this probably wouldn't be in my top 10, but it still has moments that are freaking hilarious. In this movie, we have the main character Mahoney, played by Steve Guttenberg. We have Jones, played by Michael Winslow. Hightower, played by Bubba Smith. Lizard, played by George Gaines. Gaines, sorry. Tackleberry, played by David Graff. Alan Leslie Easterbrook, who plays Callahan. Harris is played by G.W. Bailey. Martin is played by Andrew Rubin. Thompson is played by Kim Cattrall. Barbara is played by Donovan Scott. Copeland is played by Scott Thompson. And Blakes is played by Brant Von Hoffman. So, now, even though this movie is like less than an hour and 30 minutes, I believe, it's jam-packed with character interactions. Like, that's the bulk of the film, and all these characters, pretty much all of them develop in some way, and that's what I really enjoy, is that pretty much everybody has an arc. There are multiple arcs. Most obvious is Mahoney, who starts off, he performs a lot of petty crimes because he is easily upset by people, and it keeps happening, and he's given opportunity saying, well, you can go to jail or you can go through the police academy. And he takes the police academy, and he finds out later that he has to do it, otherwise he goes to prison. Like, he can't just do it for a few weeks. He has to do the full 14 weeks of training and setting the mind right to go out in the real world with a badge. He makes friends with Jones, who just makes a lot of weird noises. It does help in the plot a little bit, but I want, one thing I want to know is more about his character, other than him just being kind of silly and mostly a joke character. We have a Hightower, who is like this huge, like, black dude, who he's kind of a gentle giant type. He really doesn't want to hurt anybody unless he has to. And towards the end of the movie, he develops a little bit of a relationship with Mahoney. Mahoney helps him, teach him how to drive so he doesn't fuck up his driving test, which he needs to have to be a police officer. We'll get to that again. There's Lizard, who is the chief captain. He is the head of this police academy. He's an interesting character. Like, he warms up to Mahoney before. He didn't want to give him any, like, suggestion, or like really wanted to work with him really much at all. He kind of seen him as like a nuisance, and especially his second in command, like, had it out for him, and that is Harris. Harris is a very entertaining antagonist. He has a lot of great lines, and he's very fun to watch. Now, we have Callahan, who is works alongside with Harris, and both of them are kind of kind of the sense of drill sergeants or teachers to the recruits. Mahoney, Jones, Hightower, Tuckleberry, Martine, Harris, and Thompson, Barbara, Thompson. I'm sorry, Copeland Blakes. I'm saying the actor's name for a second. They are all new recruits, and they start off as just, most of them don't know what the fuck they're doing, or they all have something that's not material for being a police officer. Like, for instance, the character Hooks is like very timid, and she doesn't like to speak loudly. There is Barbara, that's his last name. I'm referring to all of them as their last names because that's what's most frequently said. Barbara is this fat guy who just tries to stay out of trouble, and he's always very nervous. Jones is just fucking weird. Mahoney is kind of a douche. Hightower, you say the wrong thing and he'll get on you. Tackleberry, he's too much of a meathead. I think he's the only one that has had military training previous to joining the academy. Martine, he's way too obsessed with getting pussy than actually focusing on a mission and faking a Latino / Spanish accent so he can get girls, which works on one of the preceding officers, Callahan, which I'm like, oh, I was not expecting that, and it kind of like a cute thing. I'll admit that was pretty entertaining. Harris, the second in command of the whole school, he has like 2 teachers' pets that he always gets them to get information and screw other people over. Barbara keeps being bullied by them in like the first and second act of the movie. So he eventually fights back, and that's something we see in the arc, and he can learn how to defend himself. They get redirected rather than going to a party where all the recruits are going to. They're sent to a gay bar. That was pretty funny. Even when I was saying, I was like, "Oh fuck, god damn, really?" But I did laugh, and it did have a lot of entertaining moments to it. Possibly, for me, one of the most shocking moments is I think it was one of Deidre Bett's characters that was trying to frame them, and eventually a prostitute shows up on the police academy campus, and they're trying to shove it into the face of Barbara, thinking that he'll be with it, but he's like too nervous, and Mahoney thinks this is kind of entertaining, and he trying to hide this prostitute from all of the police officers that are recruits and people like Lassard, and he's supposed to be giving a presentation in front of a bunch of very decorated police officers, probably from different areas of the city or of the state. He gives a presentation, and so Mahoney and the prostitute have to hide under the podium where he's talking. So the prostitute thinks that he is the John, so she starts going down him, and Mahoney is like, and he I guess he wasn't really expecting that, but that may have been the only way to get out. Like the only people that knew about it were the prostitute, Mahoney, and the Sard, having his dick sucked. Everybody else is unaware, and he's like making weird faces and bursting out with words that it sounds way too high pitched. And instead of the prostitute's head popping out when it's over, Mahone's head pops in and just like turns his head and smiles at Lassard, who just like came, and he just like kind of horrified because he thinks that Mahoney did it at that moment, and he doesn't want to have the case of not gays because he enjoyed it, but yeah, that was very weird. It gets brought up in the third act, and it just so weird. And at some points I felt bad for laughing because I'm like, this is low bar, but damn it if they didn't do it well. There is, in the third act, there's this riot that the recruits are put on because they're close in the end of training. By this point, Mahoney's been kicked off because he's blamed for starting a fight in the cafeteria with those two teacher pet assholes. And my boy Hightower is kicked out because while he did do very well in his driving test, when he got help from Mahoney, he woke him up late at night and wanted him to teach him how to drive because he hadn't done it in so many years. He does very well. The other black recruit, it was Hooks, the girl that doesn't like to speak loudly. She accidentally runs over one of the teacher pets, I'm sorry, both his feet accidentally with the car, and he starts shouting. He gets very upset, and he calls her a jigaboo. Hightower is not a fan of that, and while the guy's in the car, he like just pop. He doesn't like with Incredible Hulk straight just throw it. He's not that giant, but he does flip it over and put it upside down, and he's kicked out because of that. I can understand it because that was uncalled for, but at the same time, the pain of running over someone's foot with a tire, God. So he comes back because in the riot, Harris is put at gunpoint by this random thug, and it just becomes a shit show because a lot of police officers lose their guns. Everybody's rioting. People are being distracted. Hooks, Callahan, and the love interest of Mahoney, Thompson, played by Kim Cattrall, are all being shot at by the same thug guy, and he's holding up Harris on top of a building. Homeboy Mahoney, he takes another route. He goes up the ladder of this building, misses him, bumps into him again. Previously, it had been mentioned that Hightower was a florist before he went to the police academy. He takes off that apron and he wants to prove himself again. Mahoney had just been removed, so barely anybody knew about it, so he was able to put the riot gear with everyone else when they took the bus into the not safe area. Not safe. And yeah, they kicked the thug's ass. The riots is the riots subsidized. Mahoney and Hightower are awarded for the bravery, and not only that, but just their comeback. Like they started from nothing. They went to great heights. They are both removed, but they still come back, and they prove that they are you know, they are real police officers, and you know, like everybody else, they are like a community, and they have become brothers and sisters. You know, he came a long way from just getting pissed off at somebody parking their car wrong and causing property damage. I think he was involved in that guy that was in a giant camera and being thrown off a bridge. That was the one thing I would remove from the movie. I don't feel like it was needed. I mean, it's an interesting visual, just having a giant like plastic camera that someone can sit in, almost like a kiosk, and just thrown off a bridge. But you know, whatever. But you know, I was just amazed, like how often I'll be like out of breath from laughing. You know, there are a lot of lull moments. There are a lot of jokes that don't quite work. There's like a joke where, you know, Harris is thrown into the ass of an animal. It wasn't that funny, but most of the jokes hit. I especially want to see this again. Like if there's anything that, you know, I wasn't sure about, if I enjoy it more. But this is amazingly entertaining. The characters, how they build off each other. I really enjoyed Martine, Tackleberry. You know, the meathead. You know, he you know was overboard with pretty much everything. I wish I would have saw more development with Jones, and because you know it kind of built him up in the beginning, like Mahoney and Jones were constantly going to be buddies in the thick of it. Mahoney and Thompson, you know, his love interest relationship, I wanted that to be, you know, developed more. So I feel like if you could add 15 minutes of just a little more development, you know, this automatically, you know, maybe a few jokes that didn't work would be taken out. You know, if that was the case, it would be an A. But because of that, A minus. Still, in my opinion, this movie is like, it deserves more love. It's fucking hilarious. Go see it. I know it's on Netflix. You know, it just like it's amazing, really. Like some of the scenes really are, you know, human, and they you know they never go for like trying to do tear-jerking scenes, but they do have scenes that are a little bit sad, and I think that mixes well. No joke I don't think that worked is I think there's this guy named Falker, and he was like the stereotypical nerd, and he had his hair greased to the side. I think his wife like hung onto his car while they're going down a bridge. Yeah, that didn't work. That could have been removed. But you know, y'all go see it. I give it. I mentioned it before. A minus. Fun, hilarious, interactions, almost perfect. It's Positive Critics. You know I love you.